Okay, this race is for State Board of Education District 3. Each of you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself to the panel. We'll start on this end with Mr. Klapproth.
Hi, my name is Ed Klapproth. I've been in education for several decades, and before that with law enforcement, and I've also been a small business owner. And I've taught in the United States, and I've taught abroad. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Sam King. I prefer that to Debra. I've been in Las Vegas since 1977. I'm retired from Clark County School District, and I was a teacher and an administrator working all levels. I taught elementary for a short time, middle, they had 6th grade centers then, high school and adult education. I've also been a lifelong advocate. I'm a parent, and I'm very active in the League of Women Voters, and education is a passion for my outside activities. I'm very proud that you veterans groups has invited me here. My father is, well, he's deceased, but he was a Marine War veteran, World War II, and my children's dad, also deceased, was a Marine. So sitting here, I'm very honored. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson.
Hello.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's pushing.
I turned it off. Hello. I was born and raised here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a proponent of education with the school here, Clark County School District, all my life. I was born and raised here. For his veteran schools, my father was a veteran. He was in the Korean War. My husband is here. He's also a vet. He was in the Vietnam War, so he's here. I have some friends here that's veterans here, so they're here to support me. I've been in K through 12th grade. I've been in the school district. I'm currently on the State Board of Education. I'm running for re-election for the State Board of Education. I work in the community quite a lot. You can see here, I gave each one of you a packet, and on the packet it tells you some of the work that I've done with the Veterans Administration. There's also a letter in here from Shalimar telling that I work with you as vets. I make referrals. Is this one?
You have 10-second warning.
Okay. I make referrals to veteran courts. I'm a part of the Veterans Administration. I work with them on a daily basis. I reach for vets, for housing, for social services, for all types of services. So that's part of my job out there with the community, is to work with veterans and make sure they have whatever it is that they may need.
Time. Okay, we'll start questions with Leo. Wake up, Leo.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. I wanted to get each of your thoughts regarding school choice as well as charter schools and empowerment schools. Thank you very much.
You go first.
Ladies first.
We'll start the other direction.
Okay.
So, Ms. Wilson.
Okay, first of all, I start with charter schools. Okay, charter schools are good schools. The only problem I have with charter schools is that when they come out here and they build the schools, they bring their own folks in. If they're going to do that, we need to use Nevada residents to build these schools. That's one of the things we need to do. We need to put Nevadans back to work, put our unions back to work, put our community back to work, put our parents back to work. Because of the economy now, so it's really important that we put everyone back to work. The second problem I have with charter schools, the curriculum. Can you hear me in the back okay? Good. Okay, the curriculum. They're bringing their own curriculum. And the thing of it is that they charge our parents, our students, our community to use their curriculum. Some of our curriculums here, we have curriculums here that are pretty good. And the other thing about the curriculum is that they charge our parents, our students to use their curriculum. And some of the services here, we can get a lot of those services here locally for a cheaper price. So that's one of the problems that I have with that. Okay, you had a second, third?
Yeah, it's empowerment schools and
Yeah, we're out of time here, so we need to move to Ms. King.
That's an interesting question. You know, education, I've been in education for 30 years, and I'm very young. But the point is, when we're going back here looking at it, education has gone through various phases. Charter schools are public schools. They're just a different way of producing it, and they do follow certain standards, and kids have to pass tests, they have to be accountable. I think there's a place for them. What I believe Ms. Wilson was talking about was some of the charter schools are unable to financially make it buildings, facilities, other items. So there was one school recently went bankrupt for the deaf, and I think that would have been a very excellent charter school to be maintained. Empowerment is a new word, and I think if you're an educator and if you can't be empowered, you're in trouble. So one of the words they're using is with empowerment is to give more autonomy, and that depends upon the site. Did you also ask about any other schools?
Yeah, vouchers.
All right, vouchers in Nevada, that's a new movement. I don't think that vouchers have been very successful here. In some states they have, and I don't support them. I made it.
I'm in favor in charter schools, especially where we have a public school that's failing. This would be a good chance to take over. They've done very well in other states. They have a great track record. I believe in school vouchers. I believe in school choice. I mean, we're at the bottom of the education barrel. Anything we do has to improve it. We can't get much lower. And I've seen other programs in other countries, too, that we could apply, such as dividing up. You were talking earlier about vocational schools. To have a separate track for vocational schools, starting, say, in the 10th grade, after they have their core courses. Train them. Do you know what a shortage we have of trained machinists in this country? I mean, this is where people graduate high school and are able to get high-paying jobs. The idea to me that everybody has to go to college and get a Bachelor of Arts and, liberal arts is ridiculous. We have to find what best suits the needs of the students.
You still have 10 seconds.
Next question.
I can be concise.
Folks, in between questions, if you can turn off your mic, that way there's no feedback.
Demonstration.
Okay, this question is for all three of you, and I want to thank you guys for coming in here on Saturday. I appreciate it. Main question I have is, what can we do to get the Clark County School District and the university system on the same page? And the reason why I ask that is because I get frustrated that you have someone that goes to K through 12 for 12 years, graduates, and then has to spend the first 2 years of college relearning all the stuff that they didn't learn in K through 12. It's a waste of money, in my opinion. So what can we do to get our university system and the Clark County School District, or all the districts in Nevada, on the same page? We can go ahead and we'll start with Ed this time. Go.
Okay, for one thing, I know this for firsthand. I teach at the College of Southern Nevada, and I've had some freshman students who, to me, should have gotten out of the 5th grade. Okay, it's a complete failure. Something is wrong there, which is why I want to revamp the system, K through 12. I mean, we have to look at, the fact that these students come into me and they lack basic skills. So why? What's wrong? I mean, is it the money? You're going to hear, we need to spend more money. No, we don't. We spend between $10,000 and $14,000 per student. 84% of private schools in this state have a tuition of less than $10,000. My daughter went to a private school. Her teachers got half the salary of a public school teacher. Yet, her education was far superior. And why? Because they went there, one, they have alternative credentialing, and also the fact that they have a passion to teach. They're no longer restricted. They have a lot more freedom in the curriculum.
Interesting question, and I believe my philosophy on education is that it's a lifelong process, and there's transition. What we need to have, and there's always been arguments, no matter how, during a legislative session we say that we're going to work together, K through 12, the university, we're fighting for the same scrap of meat, okay? But, nevertheless, education is a process. And we need to make every effort to help those students be successful at whatever level they come in. So learning and teaching are also two different things. It is a teacher's job to present the material, to instruct. We need a culture in which those students are receptive, and it's part of the responsibility of a teacher to do that too, but we need a community to do so. So I don't think it's an easy answer, but I think all of this dialogue is, look at the people here today. You're all interested in education. You don't have to be a teacher to be interested in it. We want our students to be successful. We want a quality of life where the education attracts business and keeps people here. So it's a process, it must be improved, and we all need to work together.
Ms. Wilson.
Okay, like Ms. King said, education is a lifelong process. It is. What we have to do, we have to get the parents involved. We need to get the parents involved. Education starts from K through 3rd grade. We have to start there with the foundation. The foundation comes first. Once we build that foundation, then our students will be successful and move forward. In order for them to move forward, we have to have mentoring. The parents have to mentor, the teachers have to mentor, we have to be with our parents all the way through. As far as the college level goes, from high school to college, yes, there is a gap there, and that's something that we're working on. We have the CTE schools, the career and technical education schools. That's what they're for. They're preparing these students for college. They're preparing them for other careers. That's what they're for.
Next question.
I'll preface this that it's not a trick question. Currently, it's currently the Nevada Constitution does not allow a full voucher system. It would need to be amended. But that aside, how far should we go in that direction, and should it include private and religious schools in a hypothetical voucher system? Start this in.
Start in the middle.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah. Take your shot at going
Come
first.
on down. Okay.
Chicago rules. All right, let's take, you're right. Constitutionally, it's not a law. We do have charter schools, and that is very, that we've already discussed that. There are groups that believe in the voucher system. The Nevada Constitution does not provide for it, but it does provide that education is a fundamental right. Now, how that education is accessed right now is through public schools, charter schools, and funding through the state. There's also no statute to say who's responsible to make sure there's adequate funding. I think before we look at a voucher system, we have to make sure that there is adequate and equitable educational funding. And that's a whole nother issue. So, vouchers, if the public wants to go for an initiative to do so, that's the will of the people. I personally wonder if that's the way to go when we're thinking of it as a civil right and a fundamental right with no statutory support on who's responsible for the funding.
As far as vouchers, I disagree with vouchers. Because the thing of it is that we need to all work together to make our schools better. We need to make our schools better here in Clark County. Whether we do teacher evaluation, change the way we evaluate our teachers, change the way we prepare our teachers, have more meetings with the parents, engage the community. I disagree with vouchers right now at this point in time. And again, funding is the problem with vouchers. Where would the funding come from? That's a problem right there, the funding.
Surprise, surprise. I'm in favor of vouchers. Where does the funding come from? Well, with all the money we spend per pupil, it'd actually be cheaper to give them a voucher and have them go to school at a private school. It would actually save us money on the whole, up to maybe $2,000 to $4,000 a year per pupil. So actually, it would cost us less. And when you look at voucher systems in states they're using, so far they've been very successful. There are some areas, maybe they're not, but it depends how it's done. If I had my way, though, we'd have more freedom of choice. I also am a very strong advocate for the rights of homeschooling. And especially where you have groups of parents who pool their abilities, and at times even will hire tutors to come in. I mean, there's a lot of ways we can change the system to cost less. One of my big things is who becomes a teacher. Teaching, when I grew up, was a vocation, like being a minister, a priest, a physician. It was a calling. It wasn't for money. It wasn't to make a career out of, as to devote yourself to the children.
Next question.
Actually, I have a follow-up there, so we'll give about 30 seconds each. It's actually directed to Debra and Annie, if Ed wants to respond afterwards. You referred to the cost of a voucher or choice system. We're asking where the money would come from. Next year, pardon? Next year, Bishop Gorman's tuition is going to be $10,000. This year, I'm paying $7,000. No, they've sent me the stuff. Believe me, it's $10,000 next year. I have 2 children for, I believe, $7,000 a year in another Catholic grammar school. Those are both between half and 2/3 of what it costs the county to educate a kid at those levels. So why is there a problem? How is it a monetary problem of coming up with extra money when with a voucher system you're actually looking at a significant drop in the cost per pupil? Why wouldn't, or put it another way, if the state can issue a $10,000 voucher to remove one more kid from a public high school, that would spend a time and a half on that. Why is it not financially advantageous and a help to the remaining students.
Can I start? Okay.
Yes.
I understand the arguments between vouchers and why people, and I applaud you because you've chosen a path for your children to go to school with. I argue somewhat with your $10,000. However, whatever, we'll go there. And again, education funding goes on and on. But with a voucher system, you're putting them in a school system that is not under the same guidelines as, say, you want to record achievement. If the kid goes to Gorman, that kid doesn't take a proficiency test. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. So
Gorman has a 99% pass rate on the state proficiency tests.
Okay, they do take it? Okay.
And pass it.
Okay, because I know Meadows, you don't have to. But my point is with vouchers, I just think now we need to improve the public school system because there's an inherent responsibility for the state to educate all schools. Oh, students, not school.
Okay, with the voucher system, I'm not in the business of putting good teachers out of work. Because you know, you get the voucher system, and you know, you have some of the students or parents move their students to other schools. I'm not in the business of putting good teachers out the way. We do have good teachers now. You cannot say that all teachers are ineffective. We have good teachers, and I'm not in the business of trying to put a school out of work or close down a school that we could work on to make the school better. We have to work together to improve the school, to improve our entire school system. And that's one of the things that I'm here for on the State Board of Education. I'm here trying to change things. The Common Core standards, that's one of the things right there. Yeah, it is.
Ms. Wilson, let's talk.
If you'd like to respond to
well, just one thing about the expenses. You know, since the U.S. Department of Education, federal, started in 1979, the amount on education keeps increasing. The amount of bureaucrats involved keeps increasing. We have a lot of fine teachers, but we also have too many bureaucrats in the educational system. And as this number of bureaucrats increases and funding increases, the scores have gone down, or at very best remain level. So money isn't the answer. Money isn't the answer. How are we going to save it? Well, I think vouchers is one of the ways.
Next question.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today and agreeing to speak with us. My question is, how does the national education policies conflict with states' rights in regards to educational policies? And I'd like to start with Ms. Wilson, please.
Could you repeat your question one more time, please?
How do national education policies conflict with states' rights in regards to educational policies?
Well, there is a conflict there. And part of the conflict is that, you know, you have the national policy, we have the policies here. There is some type of conflict. Again, like I say, I talked about the Common Core standards. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to fall in line with the national policy so everything will be on the same line right there. So you're right, there is a lot of conflict there. But what we're trying to do here in our state of Nevada, we're trying to improve our school system. And so there's going to be some conflict. Like the waiver, one of the waivers that we just did, the No Child Left Behind. And what we're trying to do with that waiver,
10 seconds.
okay. And what we're trying to do with that waiver, so we don't have to use No Child Left Behind. And that's one of the things that we need to get rid of. With that waiver, it gives teachers more time in the classroom to work on the students, to teach the students. This way they don't have to focus on just test. It gives them time for, you know, to work with the students so the students are learning to move ahead so they can be successful.
Thank you.
Interesting question. Again, when we're looking at education, it is the responsibility of the state, and I go back to the fact that in the Nevada Constitution, education is a fundamental right. When you think of the conflict, it's a pay-to-play. We've got federal funding that comes in with sometimes with a lot of mandates, but when you're going in there, we've got special ed funding, we've got other funding that helps, you know, make some of that equity in education possible. A lot of school districts can't, we're one of them. A lot of states can't even afford what they've got now. So I understand the states' rights issue and state standards. We're even looking now for national and standard core standards, which seems to be approved by a lot of people. So that's an interesting issue, but the states' rights versus federal rights goes back to the founding fathers with federalism. You learn how to deal with it, and I think states still have some leverage in what they're doing as far as education. Again, with your vouchers, that would be a state issue.
Well, to begin with, I don't agree with the idea that the federal government has the right to dictate a one-size-fits-all policy. Each community is unique. Each community has special needs and special problems. One size doesn't fit all anymore. We need to have the state take a more active role, and we need to actually bring back control of the school system back to the way it was when I was a boy. You know, I'm from the time of the dinosaurs, where the local community, the parents and the teachers decide on curriculum. They decide on on what's going to be on the testing standards. We need to get the community involved in a decision-making way. And as far as one statement goes, you know, the U.S. Department of Education, we send money up there. Everybody says, well, they give us funding. It's our own money. We're sending it to Washington, then they give it back to us. Hopefully all of it, maybe less. I mean, you're going to trust those bureaucrats? I don't.
Thank you.
Next question.
This, I believe, will be our last question.
We have 6 minutes.
Oh, that's right, we have 2 more questions probably.
Is it Karen or me?
You.
Okay. Mr. Klapproth, you brought up homeschooling, and I'm going to address that issue. I'm a founding officer of Nevada Homeschool Network. I homeschooled my daughter. I did not homeschool my son. I would like to know what your thoughts are on the homeschooling movement. Also, the fact of the matter is a lot of schools now are actually kicking out children who are discipline problems and telling their parents to homeschool them when they're working full-time.
Okay, one thing, to me, homeschooling is an excellent way to teach children. I mean, I know a lot of people who, my cousin, one of them, actually gets together with her neighbors. They pool their resources and teach their children together. As far as discipline, one of the ideas I saw in other countries was, and even where my daughter went to school in Hawaii, was parents, grandparents on campus. Well, when you got grandma sitting in the lunchroom with you, wow, guess what? Johnny's not so active anymore. It really works. And they are also trained to be teaching assistants, and they do it on a volunteer basis. It does not cost the taxpayer one dime. And it makes it so much easier in large classrooms to have assistants. Also in other countries I've seen, when you have volunteers who are sometimes retired teachers come in, act as teaching assistants for free. But homeschooling, we need to expand homeschooling. I'd like to see a voucher for homeschooling so that, you know, the parents could get some money to get the appropriate supplies and hire the tutors when necessary. Thank you.
I can tell you from experience, because I thought that was a great idea too when I first started off, most homeschoolers do not want vouchers, they do not want assistance because they don't want the government dictating what they teach their children.
That's fine.
I just want to let you know that.
Next question.
Now,
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
I'm waiting for the alligators. Okay,
Keep going.
all right, now, okay, here we go. We're talking about homeschooling, and that goes to choice, and I think we spoke a little bit about the issue. When I worked with adult education, I met with a lot of parents who chose homeschool for their students. And you're a very dedicated woman, and you're quite probably capable of that instruction, but in a 21st century world with a wide amount of knowledge and teaching, that takes a lot of time, and if parents are willing to do so, that's fine. I have also seen people come back, because one of the things, again, that nasty little proficiency test, for students to want to get the Millennium and various other things, they had to take the proficiency and get some kind of diploma to go on. So there are pros and cons to that homeschool. It can work very excellently, and at sometimes it might be where the kids are just home and not being instructed. So the element of choice, and again, that should be on a case-by-case basis. The choice is there to do so.
As homeschooling goes, you know, I don't have a problem with homeschooling. The kids have the chance to stay at home. They're in an environment that they're used to. The parents work with the children. The only thing it is with homeschooling, in order to move forward to go to college, they have to go back to a regular school or somewhere. Okay, well, they have to take the proficiency test in order to get the Millennium Scholarship. They have to take that. They have to go take the proficiency test in order to move forward. As far as homeschooling goes, you know, that's a choice by the parents. Some parents want homeschooling because they want their children to be there. They want their children to learn what they want them to learn. They don't want their children around what you quote as bad students. Now today, we have a lot of our students. Yeah, they are bad students, but the thing of it is, we have to get the parents involved. It starts at home. It starts at home. teaching our children right from wrong. That's where it started at.
Thank you very much. I am going to do a follow-up question. Are any of you aware of the fact, I know you mentioned the proficiency exams and everything, now K through 8th grade is not required to take any of the standardized testing. Do any of you know why that is in Nevada? I know the answer, I'm just wondering if you do.
I'll be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
There is testing in the lower grades. There's the
Not in
CTF.
homeschooling.
Oh, and homeschooling.
Homeschoolers
I
are not
misunderstood your
required.
question.
No, homeschoolers are not required to take
okay,
any
fine and
of
dandy.
the testing K through 8th grade.
Well, again, those, I was not thinking in that terms. I'm just thinking of the public schools.
Okay.
So as you move forward, and again, I know you can go to some schools without even a diploma. It used to be able to go to community college. But no, I didn't know that as far as that goes. But I do know in the regular schools you are tested below the 8th grade.
That was the last question.
I got one. She's
Well, she's got to answer.
Oh,
I went to Rancho. Where'd you go?
Went to Clark
Okay.
High School.
I taught at Rancho. Don't tell me I taught you, did I?
I don't know, 73.
Okay, the answer to your question, K through 8th grade, they're not testing in homeschooling. I wasn't aware of that, but I am aware that they do test in public school.
Right.
They are testing.
Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. Sometime in the 90s, the teachers' unions lobbied the Nevada legislature to stop allowing homeschooled children from participating in the test because the headlines were homeschoolers are scoring 10 points higher than public education. So that actually was the teachers' union's decision.
Mr. Klapproth, Ms. King, and Ms. Wilson, thank you for being here today.